Voters rejected Proposition J, a parcel tax, to raise revenue for San Diego City schools. The measure needed a two-thirds vote to pass. It garnered just under 50%. So joining me now to discuss how city schools will manage budget cuts without the parcel tax is School Board President Richard Barrera. How will you manage those cuts? What are you going to do?
Well, there's a lot of things that have to happen between now and when we actually pass our budget in the middle of June. I would say one thing, though. Voters did not reject Proposition J. A majority of voters supported Proposition J.
Just under 50%?
No, just over 50%. And as the final votes are coming in, I think we're going to end up with a clear majority. And so, part of the frustration is that the state is stuck, in its huge budget deficit, continues to make cuts to schools, but when local voters in a local community decide that they're willing to actually tax themselves to support the local schools, we have to clear this unclearable hurdle of a two-thirds majority. So I think we have to look at that at the state level about changing the rules.
Yeah, but that honestly, Richard, I mean, that's something that will take years to accomplish.
Well, school bond measures used to require two-thirds vote. You saw a number of school districts with a majority of voters agreeing to them, but not two-thirds, and the threshold got lowered, and now we're seeing school bonds passing. So I do think it's something that we're going to be heading towards with parcel tax measures.
But getting back to, you're obviously going to have to make cuts.
Yes.
Where will they be? Will they be teachers, janitors, librarians? Where?
So, again, we have to go about this in a systematic way. The 80% of our funding comes from the state of California. The state of California, the budget that the legislature just passed and the governor just signed, still there are a lot of things that are unclear about how that affects public schools, so we've got to clarify that. We've got to make sure that if there are mid-year cuts at the state, that there are not cuts to education. And then the new governor, with an ability to work with the legislature to pass a majority budget, not a two-thirds budget. I'm saying all this, Gloria, because what I'm saying is there could be enormous difference in the hole that we're in that are made by decisions in Sacramento, and we need to be advocating to make sure that public education is protected in the next budget with the new governor.
Meanwhile, are you establishing priorities?
Of course.
Okay, so what is the first priority you want to absolutely save?
Well, the number one priority to me is to keep our class sizes as low as possible, and especially for the younger kids. We've got kids who come into school when they're 5 years old, into kindergarten, who are already behind, who might have, say, the vocabulary, a third of the words that kids in a different part of town might have when they come into school. Those kids can catch up very quickly and be on course and ready to go by the time they're in third grade. But if the classes are too big, they get left behind. And so I believe that our number one priority for the schools, for all of the schools, is to keep class sizes as low as possible.
Well, then obviously you can't lay off teachers if you're going to keep class sizes the same.
Well, there are probably going to have to be some teacher layoffs. I mean, I don't see how that's avoidable, but I think where we've got to prioritize is keeping our class sizes as low as possible with the younger grades. But the reality is, I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time now. We've been very clear and open with people. There will be cuts. There's no way to avoid that. We've had $300 million cut from our budget in the last couple of years. We've done everything that we can possibly do to keep those cuts away from the kids. And now we're facing what looks like today another $120 million in cuts. And there's going to be some things that are going to really hurt kids.
Just very, very quickly, San Diegans for Great Schools. This is a group of community leaders, business leaders. They want to bring in 4 appointed school board members on top of the elected ones. What do you think of that proposal?
I think it has nothing to do with solving our budget crisis or improving student achievement.
What has it got to do with?
Well, I think it has to do with politics and power, frankly, and it's not the conversation that we need to be having as a community right now. Look, San Diego Unified, our schools have been improving steadily and consistently over the last few years. We're now the #1 large school district in the state in terms of literacy, at the top in math and science. We need to keep our eye on improving student achievement, solving our budget crisis, not getting dragged back into political debates.
Thank you very much, Richard Barrera.